a new twist in the opioid epidemic. These companies that serve as the middlemen between the prescribers and the insurance companies. They're these companies that control what the insurance companies will allow to be prescribed. So if a doctor says you should be able to take 250 milligrams of Oxycontin a day, these companies are in charge of regulating whether the insurance companies will pay for that. So they've got this incredible power. And now it came out in the Times today that the Sacklers and other drug companies were bribing these guys to restrict the amount of pills that were allowed to be prescribed. They would get paid off and they would allow these incredible prescriptions to be put through and the insurance companies to pay for them. So it's just more of a game within a game within a game.
Damn.
Making Lone Survivor started with going to the Dietz family and asking for their blessing and telling the story. All three of those meetings were very emotional. I remember going to Danny's parents' house in Colorado and his father taking me into his bedroom. And he had a piece of paper and he started reading from the paper. Left knee, bullet. Left thigh, bullet. Groin, bullet. And I realized he was reading his son's autopsy report. And I could see the tears falling out of his eyes and hitting that paper. And he put the paper on my lap, and the autopsy report was his father's tears in it. And he said, "That's who my son was. That's how tough my son was. You make sure you get that right." And I thought to myself, okay, what the f have I gotten myself into with this? It became something much more than a movie for us. Someone gave me the statistic about how much money the government spends making a SEAL versus how much money they put into kind of keeping an eye on a SEAL when he's done.
They don't care about us when we're done.
I tend to agree. I mean, certainly they don't act like they care. They might say they care, but if you just look for actions, that's where it kind of gets hard to sort out.
You know, they try to hide it. They don't like talking about it because it's up recruiting numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
The upper echelon of the SEAL teams hate this show because we dive into it.
Yeah, I would imagine.
We expose it. I don't care if it hurts the recruiting numbers.
Yeah.
I believe they have responsibilities.
Sacklers, at first I'm like, well, yeah, these guys are scumbags. Them, let's make a movie and let's tell the truth. I'm not scared. The more research I did, the more nervous I got. These are like real mobsters. They're real drug dealers that are, putting up numbers much larger than the Medellin cocaine cartels, companies like Purdue and the Sackler families. So the more I learned, the more nervous I got. And there was a moment where I was literally paranoid and I'm like checking my back and making sure doors are locked. And I realized like if they want to get me, they're going to get me.
Yeah.
It was so public at this point that if they did come after us, everyone was going to know. It's like I didn't have to leave a note like, hey, man, if something happens to me, it was Richard Sackler. People kind of already would get that.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, dude, I don't know if I want to stand so close to you, or let's see how the show plays out. One of the challenges the Sacklers had with Oxycontin and Purdue had, they needed to get the FDA to approve it. They had spent so much money developing this drug. It was really just one guy named Curtis Wright, and he was the obstacle. He kept saying to the Sacklers, I can't approve this drug. This is heroin in a little M&M wrapper. And that was putting the entire Sackler family and Purdue Pharma in real risk of financial ruin. At some point prior to getting the approval, some members of Purdue Pharma took Curtis Wright to a hotel room, and no one knows what happened in that hotel room. When they came out, Curtis Wright had signed the approval with the words, Oxycontin is believed to be non-addictive. About a year and a half later, Curtis Wright leaves the FDA and goes and works for Purdue Pharma. They bought him. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that is how the world operates.
Did you struggle with addiction at all? Or
there's not a drug I haven't tried, pretty much. I don't think I've done bath salts or angel dust, okay? but I've tried them. I don't know, man. I always had that ability to sort of see through the shot, see through the line. If someone put a line of Coke in front of me back in the day, I might do one, but then I'd think about the other. It's not that I didn't want to do it, but I was able to sort of see, well, let's jump ahead 24 hours and think about the cost. And my sister said that ability to have that pause is something that can separate a true addict from someone that's not. It's a disease, I believe. I'm fortunate that I don't think I have it.
But then I found, psychedelics through this show, kicked everything. I mean,
So the psychedelics helped you.
Peter, it was like a light switch, man.
What psychedelics did you do?
I did ibogaine and 5-MeO-DMT.
Do you credit the ibogaine more than the 5-MeO?
Yes.
Because I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that from ex-military guys, ex-team guys who've taken ibogaine, and they physically look different. I've seen them since. It's almost like their facial construction is different. Their cheekbones feel different. Their eyes feel different, and they're sober.
Yeah.
It seems to be one of the more effective medicines.
I mean, it's really changing a lot of lives,
Ah.
and it is the cure for opiate addiction,
Yeah.
for alcoholism. And so if you're out there riding the line and you're looking for a way out, I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, man. And I remember smoking it and the feeling of ego death. But when you experience it, you really know you've experienced it. As the medicine was taking over my mind, I felt myself trying to hold on to thoughts. And every thought I could have would suddenly be slammed off, almost like a steel curtain was shutting down. Every thought was just, doo, 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 doo. And then this giant wall of darkness came over me. And it was a sound, and it was like, over. And I remember thinking very clearly, I'm dead. And my first thought was, it's all over. It's all nothing.
Wow.
When I was in Israel, the anger and fear was so palpable. And I know it's on the other side. Israel did this. Palestinians did this. It's been going back and forth since however far back you want to go. And it's this Rubik's Cube that you never solve. Bottom line is, they hate each other. They cannot work it out. It's like two kids that are fighting. They just can't stop. So many Israelis I met, the energy you get is, please, we need help. If it's going to stop, they need someone to come in and say, you go over the here, you go over the here, stop. And I hope that can happen.
It's a very complicated situation. Did we go to the moon?
I don't know, man. I wasn't there. I know about the picture. I like to think that we did because that's how I was raised. And if that didn't happen, then I got to really unpack a whole bunch of others. But I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know.
I love this subject.
I'm going to assume we did.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I just want to believe we did.
Me too. I don't know, though. There's some pretty compelling evidence.
People are foolish. And there's a lot of reasons that we would have lied, and governments will do things that we can't believe to advance agendas. And I've seen all of this. And I believed our leaders when they said that we were the good guys and they're the bad guys, and not always the case.
Yeah.